Hello and welcome. This is 20 Online Opportunities in 2020. I am so thrilled to have all these incredible speakers on this webinar for you, and they all range in different backgrounds and different specializations, some in the fitness and health world, some in the mindset world, some in the community world, some in tech. So there's a whole range, no matter where you are in the world, where you come from, what you're doing at this point in time in your life. There's something for every single person from all of the guest speakers that I have and the information that I'm going to be sharing as well. So I'm so thrilled that you are taking this time investment in looking at all of these different opportunities. And this is something that I want to keep doing every year because, you know, tech and the world of marketing changes so quickly, and technology itself is just this ever evolving beast. So it is incredible to talk about these things and share them with the world. The special guests I have on are Jana Danielson with the Metta District, Parker Lazeski with Results Club, and Fiyin Obayan with Okiki Consulting, Daria Malin with Boost Strategic Coaching, and Logan Henderson with Morpheus Interactive. I'm going to start it off here with, I'm going to be talking about Amazon opportunities, Kajabi, e-courses, and also outsourcing so you can leverage your time better. So with Amazon, I'm a huge Amazon believer that you can create any type of product that you want. You don't even actually need a product. You can sell other people's products, and you can also make money by just referring people to other products and publishing your own book too. All of these things are highly accessible through Amazon, and it's no wonder that they're worth over $330 billion. They sell roughly $5,000 every second. Every minute, they sell about $300,000, and every hour, their sales are roughly 17 million. 17 million every hour. That is literally unheard of. And their sales are growing by about 20 to 40% per quarter. So typically during Black Friday and also through their Prime days, they have higher amounts of sales. But you know, me as a pregnant single mom 3 years ago, I didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to have a job or, you know, work outside of the house or further my education. I had to use what I had in front of me, which was the internet, which was YouTube, free courses that were available, and Amazon has free training available, so you can learn this stuff on your own. However, aligning yourself with people who do e-commerce like myself, or, you know, there's plenty of them online. Getting in line with the right people is very important to do that with, and I'm always looking to connect with more people who sell on Amazon. I'm working on product development right now, and then I do a lot of product reselling, which I go over in my Unbound Abundance courses, and also in the workshops that I do at Morpheus Interactive. So with Amazon too, it's free to publish your books through Kindle. Never in history has this been more available to people anywhere around the world, as long as you have Wi-Fi. But it has a very simple uploader, and you can also create your cover and back cover pages right in their system, and you can start selling your book, you know, within the same day, which is just absolutely incredible. They will also offer digital copies and physical copies of the books, and so if someone wants a physical copy, they'll print it out and ship it for you, and then they obviously take their cut. But for, you know, anyone living anywhere in the world, this opens up so many more opportunities than we didn't have 10, 20 years ago, and more so on beyond that. So this is such an amazing time that we live in, and having Amazon as the largest marketplace in the whole world, they've, you know, crossed beyond what Walmart does, and one of the the largest, actually, yeah, it's the largest manufacturing website. Alibaba is number 3 in the world. And so there's so many incredible opportunities. If you want to find out more, feel free to schedule a 15-minute phone consultation with me or come out to one of the workshops. I have a meetup every month on the last Thursday of every month. So, and it's such a great space to meet and connect with people. I highly recommend it. Kajabi is where I hold my e-courses on. It's very affordable considering other systems like WordPress, or if you had something like an app that was created specifically for you, those can be quite costly. So this is a way of having your own affiliate program too built into it, so you can have people selling your course for you, which is awesome. And it's such an easy way to build a course. It's so streamlined. It's very, very intuitive. What I do is I'll just record a video and upload it right to right to Kajabi. So my courses, creating them is so fast. It's so simple. I love it. I can't say enough about Kajabi and how simple it is. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is leveraging yourself. As an entrepreneur, I know it better than anyone. You work your butt off and you pay everyone else first, and you don't give a whole lot of time for yourself. And in 2019, it's a few months ago, I was just like, hey, I can't do this all by myself anymore. I need to hire a virtual assistant. And it was kind of hard to figure out, okay, who should I go to? Should I find someone on a Facebook group? Should I look on Fiverr or Upwork for a virtual assistant? Like, how should I find one? And I was just kind of, I always put my thought out there, put my positive thinking out into the universe and see what comes back to me. And I don't know exactly how I stumbled upon it, but I came across iWorker, and I am such a huge fan of theirs. They have highly qualified virtual assistants that already have great experience, and they're a third party. So if for whatever reason you're not happy with the work, or if something happens, it's, whatever it may be, they're the ones. iWorker does all the billing. They make sure everyone's in line, and there's great communication with them. And they also offer an awesome affiliate program too, and a white labeling program. So this is a great way to build onto your existing marketing company or consulting business, or if you already do virtual assisting and you want to just have more people on your team, there's so many opportunities with it. I'm going to put the iWorker links down below. And yeah, so that's my little bit. This is my special guest, Jana Danielson, who owns Lead Pilates in Saskatoon, and she founded the Metta District, which I had the pleasure of filming. And so I wanted to talk with Jana about the opportunities she has through the Metta District. So first one is living pain-free in 2020. Can you tell us about that, Jana?
For sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Lisa. I really appreciate it. About 20 years ago, I literally lived with pain every single day. It started off in high school, just digestive and stomach pain around exam time. And I just thought, well, that's just how my stomach is. But as I got into university, and then when I was newly married, the pain was not just during an interview or, a time where it was a little bit more stressful. It actually was every day. And so what I didn't know then, which what I know now, is that when your body doesn't have good posture to allow the body systems to do their job, so circulation, digestion, like I said, posture, the nervous system, we're not pieces, we are systems. And when one system is disrupted, everything else over time will become disrupted. So after about 8 months of medical testing where nothing would come back with any sort of diagnosis, I just realized that, and by that time I was on about 12 different medications, I needed to do something different. And so I shifted my focus, and I started moving. I started doing a Pilates class, and literally I didn't know then that it was going to create a whole career shift for me one day. An entire business built around health and wellness, which is what I've been doing for 12 years with Lead. And then just this past fall, realizing that there was people outside of the geographical area of Saskatoon that needed what I was creating. And so the Metta District online studio was launched, getting amazing testimonials from thousands of people in Saskatoon and now literally all over the world that are realizing that when you move well and you have the right information about your body, it can be empowering and inspiring, and you can completely change your situation just when you have good information and you make these concepts of movement a part of your activities of daily living.
That's awesome. And that kind of goes into our second point too, of having better posture and better movement. Like even with me having 2 kids and 3 surgeries within about 2.5 years, just going through the Metta district and learning from you right behind the camera, it was life-changing for me. Being able to just walk without pain was huge. And having better movement when you pick up that toy or reach for something up high, it was like mind-blowing. Wow, I can move without pain. And work without pain too.
Exactly.
And then kind of, so the last point here is earning money online with your affiliate programs, the Metta Associate Boss and Babe. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, for sure. So the inspiration from that just comes from my experience when our 3 boys were little, like your kids are now, and I was on my mat leaves. I was like, what can I do while I'm at home to maybe get out and earn a little bit of an income? And so I got involved with Discovery Toys and Usborne Books, and I loved those businesses. And so, now fast forward 15, 18 years, I wanted to take that concept of building a group of women and bringing them together, educating them about business, finding people that aligned with my beliefs and values around wellness. And maybe the vehicle that I've created, other people could come on board with me, take that information and share it with their, with their networks. And so that's why I created the Metta Associate affiliate program. 2 different ways to come on board with that, as a Metta Associate Boss or a Metta Associate Babe. And you know what? The women that I'm attracting, well, just like you, are finding that this can be a viable side hustle. We do our monthly mastermind calls, which are so inspiring, and just all the information that we share, not just from it. Well, for me at least, it like feeds my soul from a personal level, because at the Metta District, our 3 pillars are lifestyle, movement, and community. And so I love building that community amongst women and helping them see their potential. And that's really what the Metta Associate program is all about. It's coming together, cheering each other on, learning some business concepts and tools, and then, seeing what can happen with this platform amongst everybody else's social networks.
Yeah, I love the community aspect of it too, is because, you can send a little message on Telegram and there's a whole bunch of people there, right, in the same mind frame as you. And I love that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly. So, and we've started local, like everything else I've done. I start small, I start local with people that I know, like, and trust. And then the brand just continues to build. The goal is to have a global brand within the next 12 months.
That's awesome. That's so good. Cool. Well, I think that wraps everything up. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
No, I'm just so thrilled to be able to share my message. The more people that know that it doesn't take 2 hours a day in the gym, it just takes it's half an hour. And that's really what it is. If you can carve out 30 minutes for yourself 5 times a week, as we get through week 1, week 2, week 3 together, by the time we hit with week 6 together, you have built strong, sustainable habits and patterns that absolutely will improve your quality of life and help you show up to be the best, mom, partner, volunteer, sister, daughter that you possibly can be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so good. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And I'm excited for everything to come.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Bye. I'm here with Parker Lazeski, and he has a Results Club. And we're going to touch today on living a 6 to 7 figure lifestyle, freeing yourself from mental blocks, and also the wise teachings of Proctor Gallagher. So Parker, take it away.
Hi there, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
So You want me to talk a little bit about having a 6 and 7 figure income and lifestyle? And for me, it's that stems back to you don't get to those places without being very intentional about what you do.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, most people aren't extremely intentional with how they're living their lives. And this is something that Bob Proctor taught me quite some time ago now is it's without a goal, we're much like a ship without a rudder.
Mm.
And going to with that ship metaphor works really well because if you're a ship with a destination, you can reach any port you want. But if you're not steering that ship, there's almost 100% chance you're going to end up on a beach that wasn't meant for that ship, right?
Yeah.
It'll be washed up. So if somebody wants to create a 6 or 7 figure income, the first step is get really clear on what you want to create.
Okay. That's awesome. And then can you touch about freeing yourself from mental blocks? Because, with society and just growing up in school, and it's just like you're told you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't have this, and it's so programmed in so many people's minds of like, oh, I wish I could have that, but I can't because worthiness or it's out of reach. What's your advice for removing mental blocks?
Yeah, absolutely. So self-image is one of the biggest keys in success, in fulfillment, in happiness in life. And like you were saying, we pick these up, and the vast majority of our subconscious program is actually picked up by age 7, because before that, our subconscious mind is left wide open, and we pick up essentially anything that is in our environment that our parents or family are saying. And a lot of the programming doesn't necessarily serve our best selves and our goals and what we want to create in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to do is start becoming aware of these programs that are running. And that's the first step, is becoming aware. And then what we can do is start actually shifting those and letting go of those. And that's a process, and that can take a little bit of time, and that you definitely need the right guidance and the right help to do that, because until you become aware of it and have the right structure to kind of start diving in there, you'll really feel like you're almost hitting against the glass ceiling, because your self-image acts much like a thermostat, if you will.
Mm.
And let's just use finances for example, because a lot of people are interested in making more money. But your self-image is like your financial thermostat. So just like a thermostat in a house, we live in Canada, so we'll use Celsius. If you set your house to 21 degrees Celsius and it starts getting cold in there, the heat will kick on and it'll kick it back up to 21 degrees. Same thing the other way. If it starts getting really warm in the house, the air conditioner will kick in and it'll cool it back down to 21 degrees. Now, this is much how your self-image works with your finances and your income. If you are programmed at making $60,000 a year, and all of a sudden your boss comes up to you and says, you know what, like, we really like you and you're doing a great job, but we're going to have to cut you down to 30,000. All of a sudden your heat would kick on, and because you'd know you're a $60,000 a year person, and you would say either A, that's not acceptable and I'm staying at 60, or B, you'd go find a new job because you know you're worth it. And it probably wouldn't be that hard to go find that new $60,000 job.
Yeah.
Same thing the other way though. If you start wanting more money, but you haven't changed your thermostat, and I see this a lot with people who work in sales, they might have a good month, and maybe they have their average, they're making 5, 6, 7 grand a month, but all of a sudden they have a $20,000 month. Their thermostat kicks in a lot of the time, and because their self-image isn't in alignment with that $20,000 month, the next thing you know, they kick right back down, because they don't necessarily have the beliefs that support a $20,000 a month income.
Yeah.
So really that financial thermostat is closely tied to your self-image, and your self-image can be really, really linked to any emotional blockages you have.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good information. And what are the biggest takeaways that you've gotten from Proctor Gallagher?
So working with Proctor Gallagher, there are some really key things I've learned. Like, Bob Proctor is such an amazing mentor. I've learned so much from him. And Some of the biggest ones I would say are and we talked about this a little bit earlier. If you don't have a really clear intention of where you're going, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
B is there is a certain way of goal setting and creating intentions that Bob teaches that I think is just fantastic. And I'll go through it briefly. So there's 3 ways of setting a goal. There's A-type goals, which is something you already know how to do. Let's go back to the income example. If you're already making $60,000 a year and you set the goal of making $60,000 a year, well, Bob would say that's not much of a goal at all because you already know how to do that.
Yeah.
Then there's the way that a lot of people go about setting their goals, and Bob calls these B-type goals. So a B-type goal is something you think you can do with your logical mind. So if you're making $60,000 a year and you say, well, if I go talk to the boss and I tweak this and I work a couple more hours here and I shimmy things around, maybe I could get up to 80 next year. And it gets very logical. Mm-hmm. But you know what? There's not much inspiration going on there. It's what I think I can logically do. And it's not even like you can feel the energy behind it, right? So then you go to what Bob teaches everybody should set their goals as, and he calls them C-type goals. And a C-type goal is you just go straight to, what do I want? What gets me excited? What gets me juiced? What gets me passionate?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of energy behind that. So maybe, and he'll often say go as high as turn your annual income into a monthly income. He'll often say set that as your C-type goal. And say you want to do it doing something you love to do.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of energy behind that. And when you start setting goals like that, a lot of people don't realize this, but the purpose of a goal is not to just get the goal, but it's to see who you become in the process of getting the goal. And whether you study Bob Proctor or Tony Robbins or any of the big guys in the personal growth industry, they'll all say that. Mm-hmm. So when you set that C-type goal, then the big thing that Bob teaches about and Proctor Gallagher teaches is now how do we actually make that a reality? Because it's all fine and good to say, sure, I want to 12x my income. I want to follow my passions. Yeah. But for most people, that stays in the fantasy stage. Mm-hmm. Bob is one of the best in the world, and he's trained us to really do that. And I've done that in my own life where I've started making $60,000 a year and set the goal, and I wanted to 12x my income, and I did that. So it is possible for people out there, but you have to follow the steps. You have to have, it's actually interesting. One of my mentors that I've worked with for a long time, he always likes to say unfortunately, it's really tough for people to do it on their own. And that's why mentorship is so important. And that's why doing programs and investing in yourself is so important, because it's almost like, imagine if we didn't get all the technologies and all the help from the previous generations, right? We wouldn't know how to build houses or build cars or fly in airplanes or talk on Zoom calls like we are right now.
Yeah.
And it's obvious you use what's come before you. And it's the same thing with success. There's people who know what they're doing. So if you invest in yourself and put yourself around those people, you'll get success too.
That's awesome. That's so good. Cool. Well, is there anything else you want to add?
I think that's everything.
I think really that is.
It's fun.
That was awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Wonderful.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. All right, this is Fiyin Obayan, and she's with Okiki Consulting, and I'm so pleased to be interviewing you today and having you on the webinar. And so she's going to go over LinkedIn optimization and how that can really affect your business in such a positive way, and then podcasting communities and connecting with other people through that medium, and then also on mental and spiritual health. So take it away.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you so much for having me on here. Yeah, you're just such a bright and warm spirit. So it's been so great to get to know you. And it's really exciting that I'm getting this like e-commerce community in our city. It's really hard to find. So this has been a very like uplifting and exciting season for me, for sure. So excited to be part of this. And yeah, I guess to start with LinkedIn optimization, for me, it kind of started in September that I took it really seriously. So I listened to this podcast, and it featured Goldie Chan, and she became a LinkedIn influencer, and she has bright green hair, and she's I think in her 30s, and I was shocked. I was shocked that someone that looked like her would actually be considered a leader on that platform and a LinkedIn
business platform.
Yeah, she's just not your typical what you think LinkedIn is, you know.
Yeah.
I guess most people would think, you know, like older white male population. So like she just did not fit any of that. And I thought, oh, someone with her personality could do well on there. Like I might like it too. So I started consuming the content. I found kind of like meeting my friends here with e-commerce. I was seeing people who were interested in business and in growth and in personal development. So I actually preferred the platform after a while to Facebook. It kind of switched over completely. And then I wanted to then become a content creator because they said only 1% of people create content on the platform. So that's when I thought, well, that's like easy for me. Like I love creating content. It's just a matter of trying to find content that makes sense for this platform. And so watching the people that I enjoyed, Goldie Chan was one, Shay Rowbottom's another one. They were creating content that was both entertaining and showed their real personality, but also was educational. And then at the same time, I also thought, I really liked the podcast format as well. And I liked how much I learned from it. So I want to be able to create that myself. So I thought if I do my podcast through like Zoom, kind of like this, and I'm able to share tidbits of content, that could be another form of content that I could add to the platform. And so I've been doing that actively since September. And I was able to grow my following from like 1,600 connections. And now it's at 6,300 connections in just that short span of time. And that's just to show just like the power of, just showing up on a platform like that. The really cool thing is I feel like it's just starting to really pick up for me. In that time, I did gain clients. They're really cool. I got to work with a group that needed web rebranding for wounded warriors, and that's for soldiers suffering from PTSD. And I got to work with another company in the city, and they were doing an event in collaboration with IBM. So those are opportunities I did not expect, and that was purely through the CEOs of those companies seeing my content and going, okay, let's work with her. I'm supposed to be having a call today. It's similar through LinkedIn. Some lady was like, I saw your content. Can you work on a project with me? And so it's very interesting, the opportunities that could come up. The networking's really good. If you're a podcaster, I've been able to get guests that I did not expect that are pretty high profile right now. My most recent one was that really surprised me was Santia Deck, because now she just signed a multi-million-dollar contract with the WFLA, and she's like the highest paid female football player in history. And I was just able to like message her on LinkedIn and be like, hey, want to do an interview? It's crazy. And the funny thing is, I think because it's not a platform that everyone's on right now, it's so much easier to reach those people. So when they do get a message from you on there, they're just like so open. And and then I find that they keep in contact with you. Actually, they start tagging you in their posts and start making comments about you, and then it lets the community know about you, and then you grow that way. And so I think through that, like through my posting of podcasts, I've actually even gotten people requesting me on podcasts. So I think this week I actually got requested to be on 3. And again, it was like, I think it's just visibility. So it's one of those things that I will tell your audience, I think it snowballs, because I know for Shay and I know for Goldie, they said it took them about 18 months for them to really like get like the big results from it. And I think you could probably attest to this too with B2B. It's kind of like this slow moving ship. People are kind of like watching you, trying to figure out, like, do I want to work with you or not? Some people have come up to me in person and said they've seen my content, even though they've never posted or liked it or commented. And kind of like that lady who messaged me, who's calling me today, it's like out of the blue, someone will message you and it's like, I didn't even know you saw my content because we're not a connection. So you just never know in terms of your goals, what you're putting out there, and in terms of those opportunities. So another thing too that people could utilize is LinkedIn groups, but finding a really good LinkedIn group. LinkedIn groups are notorious for not being very active at all in comparison to a Facebook group. But I found that once I found a really good LinkedIn group, one I would suggest is Step Into the Spotlight. And it's led by this lady, her name's Sufit. And I'll send you the links for that because her name's spelled a little different. It's mine is too, but it's Tsufit. And she created this group. There's like 11,000 people, but there's a lot of big people on there, and people talk a lot on that group. So I found just by getting engaged in that group, I was getting so many requests. I told people I was looking for more guests for my podcast. So they told me to join a community called Spot a Guest. And within like the week, I got like 4 guests that wanted to come in, and I've interviewed a couple of them already. And so you kind of like can really fast track a lot of your success to just learning from people, because there are so many professionals on the platform. So I find if you ask questions, even on the platform, people are very open to respond, very open to give advice. So yeah, I feel like for anyone who's thinking seriously of professional development in 2020, putting themselves out there, trying to find like, you know, who are the decision makers in companies, I believe that's a platform that's really important for you. And you'll find it different than, I believe, Facebook and Instagram for those reasons. People show up there with just a different mindset. So
absolutely.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, it was so cool because you held that LinkedIn workshop a few weeks ago. And while you're doing it, I was like getting all your tips in on my profile. And then within a week of updating my profile, I got a job for a film thing. Like, and this lady was just like, I need a videographer. And I just saw that it was on your page, and I was just like, wow, this is so amazing. Like,
that's so crazy.
A little bit of your knowledge and putting it in, and it was like, bam, you know, it's not a whole lot of effort. You know, I didn't put any money into advertising it. It was just like, they saw that content, that information, and it was just like magic happened. So
that's so exciting.
Super cool. Yeah. And then the last part I wanted to touch on was mental and spiritual health too.
Yeah,
for
sure. So kind of as Lisa mentioned, I have a faith background. I'm a person of faith, and then I also believe that mental and spiritual health is a huge part of like being a successful person and having a balanced sense of that. So I don't know where your listeners are coming from in terms of their faith background, and some people may have had some, you know, bad experiences, and that's not what spirituality is supposed to be to me. And so it is supposed to be something that helps people become better. And for that, that's the component I kind of hang on to for that. And so I guess part of my process, even in being an entrepreneur, has been that having that faith to keep it up. Some days it's really hard, and some days you're like, this is crazy. Like, what did I get myself into? And it can be really discouraging if you don't find people who are similar to you, if you don't find a community. So that's why I was saying, like, finding that community in the city, even through LinkedIn, finding that community online. It was so cool to just find a bunch of people who had similar mindsets, and suddenly you don't just feel so crazy, because I do believe we are meant to be in community, and that helps us to become who we're meant to be. And so, yeah, that's been a huge part of it, just having a lot of faith, being prayerful every day about, like, I just need encouragement, I just need strength right now. I really want to do this, and just having things happen that really surprised me. And just continuing with it. On the flip side too, I think it's really easy as an entrepreneur not to take care of your mental health because you are so passionate. I totally had this conception that doing entrepreneurship, and it's supposed to, if you're doing it right, it would give me more time and more freedom. And it is if you get your systems in place and you do it right. But I also noticed that because it's like a passion project, you actually have a hard time. I have a hard time holding myself back from working. And another guest I interviewed the other day, his thing is all about helping entrepreneurs find time. He's like, the average business owner will work like 70 hours a week. And I was just laughing because I was like, oh my gosh. Because there'd be some weeks where I'm like, I don't even know how long I've been working, but I'm exhausted right now. And it was like, I had to actually do the math and go like, oh, I definitely didn't like a 9 to 8 or like, you know what I mean? So really putting in those boundaries for yourself to protect yourself, you know. So I'm trying to implement, I always go on nature walks, or I try to do a workout, like whether it's with Pop Sugar or on YouTube, or I'm part of like a hip hop crew, just to find those things that can get you out of your own head. And just really be a real life person, making sure you're doing coffees with people, with friends. I have a group of ladies I meet up with in the city too. It's like a leadership master class we do. And then I also have a coach that I meet up with once a month. So just trying to implement things that are really helpful to your mental health, to your growth. Journaling, super important. If that's something that really helps you, sometimes you're better off they have adult coloring, but just find something that really helps you process your thoughts and your emotions, because I think entrepreneurship, like anything else, it's a marathon. It will be an emotional roller coaster. I think the same way like athletes or musicians have to work on their craft and find those times and spaces, we do too. And some of us even have that background, but just understand that this is like, a business version of that, and just how to find that balance that we can have a more holistic life.
That's so true. That was awesome. Cool. Anything else you want to add?
I guess in line with that, because I know you mentioned before the interview to talk about Black History Month a bit. So similar to that, I actually hopefully soon, we're trying to reschedule, but with CBC, I'm going to be talking about that because mental health is a topic I am so passionate about. And I know mental health is something that affects everybody, not just the Black community, but there is a huge gap in the Black community of talking about it. And the percentages are quite high for who's experiencing, kind of these major incidences, even though the communities usually are quite small. So me and my friend Diakri, we actually put on an event of Black people mental health in December, and we got a psychiatrist and a social work prof to talk about those statistics and talk about those realities, and to really encourage people in the community to talk about it and to get whatever they need for same reason I was saying before, to really watch themselves as they're working hard, to know when to set those boundaries, to know when they need to ask for help, or when things are feeling off, and to get help as soon as possible. And so that's another kind of area of passion I have. Wow. But I will say, similar to my community and similar to entrepreneurs, if you do find yourself in a bit of a rut or feeling low on some days, don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to get help. There's nothing wrong with it. You are human. And so when you're doing the entrepreneurship journey, just don't treat yourself like a robot, like a machine. Like you do need to take care of your soul as you're growing in your business.
Cool. That is so awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on this webinar. And
thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. And I look forward to working with you again soon.
Yay.
All right, have a good day.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye. Right. And welcome Daria Malin with Boost Strategic Coaching. Thank you so much for being on this webinar with me today. And we're going to touch on coaching and why it's important to have a coach, even if you are a coach, and time management, and also finding your awesome clients that you want to work with. So take it away.
So I guess my company exists to teach business owners and professionals how to grow their business. So I guess, what was the first topic you mentioned? What are we talking about?
It's important to have a coach, even if you are a coach. And
well, it is lonely to be a business owner sometimes. And we are all so close to our business that it's hard to read the label from inside the bottle, is what I always say. And so I know for me, before I started my own business, I'd already started seeking out other advice and help and outside perspective. So I exist to be that outside person for business owners and professionals who have a business to build. So I work with other professionals who it's not their own business, but they have to find their own clients. And sometimes you don't know how to start. When you start your week, you don't know, well, what things should I do this week to actually grow this business? There's so many things I could do. What's right for me? and what should I say? Who should I be trying to talk to? What should I say to them? And so I think I'm always a fan of looking for somebody who knows something more about things you want to get better at. So I'm a business coach who specifically teaches how to build your business. So through direct sales, business development, and making good marketing decisions. But there's other business coaches who are more leadership coaches and mindset coaches and all sorts of different coaches, so that whatever you're working on, you can find somebody who can teach you some new tools that you just didn't know before that can enhance the work you're already doing. So for me, I'll always have a coach or a mentor of my own, because I want somebody outside looking in, A, telling me what I'm missing or giving me new things that I didn't think about before, but B, keeping me accountable. Because that's the other thing about being in business for yourself, is that it's easy to just not get the work done because there's nobody waiting for your homework, or they're not checking in on you. So having a coaching model, like I work with my clients on an ongoing month-to-month basis, they know that they have to get it done, or else they'll have at least me to answer to next time we talk. So I think accountability, learning things and better ways and more effective ways to do things in your business, those are both really good reasons to have a coach or a mentor or somebody working alongside you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then time management. What are some strategies that you personally use and then that you also share with your clients?
You bet. So time management, I have a busy household, extremely busy household, but we choose what we're busy with. So I try to, I guess, look at each of I've started looking by the quarter. What do I have to get done this quarter? What things do I want to do this quarter? Like, even how many dates am I going to have with my husband? Let's maybe get a couple of those in, or hair appointments, or whatever it is. But I also dissect what my clients are spending their time on, because if you're too busy doing busy work and not focusing on the right things in your business, you never get around to the important work of building your brand, building your network, and being face-to-face with the people that should be buying from you. So a lot of our conversations include, how much time are you spending on admin? How much time are you spending on, recruiting, training, all those things? If you're the main business development person or marketing person, how much time are you leaving in your week to do those important things? And if you're not getting to them, what can we offload or reorganize or become more efficient with, so that you can do the important work that you should be doing? So time management, to me, I guess, home or work, are what are the most important things that you should be doing, and put those in first, prioritize those, and do the rest around it. Or if you shouldn't be the one doing it, find people who could potentially take some of those things off your plate. So I love the topic of time management. I'm not always on top of my own time management. Sometimes you feel like your hair is on fire, but I'm always looking at it, and I'm always evaluating and coming up with new systems, or refocusing on the systems that I'm putting in place to try to manage my time and enjoy the things I'm doing, and not just feel like I'm running. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. And then how do you find the awesome clients, like weeding out the ones that aren't going to be valuable in the end?
Yeah. Well, when you first start your career or your job, you start thinking, I just need sales, or I just need clients. And so at first you kind of take whatever comes your way often. And all of us who've been in business for a while, you end up having some clients that you don't particularly fit with, or the types of work, or the types of files, or the types of jobs you're hired to do that aren't your favorite thing to do. So when you actually learn how to build like a business development strategy, meaning actually choose some niche markets and then develop messaging that will compel those niche markets, you can then start to curate the type of work you do, because you're educating the people around you on what you're best at, what you want to do, the types of people you want to work with, and that's what starts coming your way. So those are some of the steps that I teach and coach my clients through, is actually figuring out who their best niche markets are. That translates into the types of work that they want to do, and then we work on how to get in front of them and become known around the people that you want to be known for, or known among. So I think, finding your best clients means, of course, finding more clients, but it also means finding the types of clients that you just would be excited to work with and love working.
That's awesome. So like strategizing your audience, kind of.
Yeah, and people think, okay, well, if I narrow down niche markets, then does that mean I have to say no to anybody else that comes my way? Well, no, absolutely not. Like if somebody comes to you who isn't one of the markets you're actively going after and you want to work with them, that's totally fine. But choosing and targeting specific niche markets allows people to understand better where to place you in their world and who to send your way when the opportunity arises with people you'd like to work with. Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. And is there anything else that you want to add?
I would just say you don't have to operate alone on an island. Find somebody, whoever it is, that knows more about something that you want to get better at. I think people who have that mindset of always trying to learn and grow are the ones that are going to be the most successful. The ones who think, well, I should have this all figured out already, they often don't hit their true potential because they're not seeking to learn, they're seeking to try to have it all figured out already. So that's what I always do, and that's what I always try to leave people with. Yeah.
Cool, that's so good. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, and I look forward to meeting with you again.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, so I'm with Logan Henderson with Morpheus Interactive, and he's going to be talking about all the different workshops that they have going on there, which includes hands-on learning and being able to host a collaborative working space and having different people coming in and out of there to do collaborations with, and then also talking about marketing consulting and the sales process. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say, Logan, so take it away.
Oh boy. Okay, well, thank you, Lisa. Let's see. The one that's probably going to be the most interesting to talk about right off the top is probably this academy. As you can see behind me, we have the room set up here as if we're about to do a workshop for public speaking. What you see on those tables are actually blow-up microphones where people can actually learn how to manage and handle devices while they're speaking, which people actually don't even think about the microphone. Anyways, so that's one example of one of the workshops that we're going to be doing. But in the future with these other workshops, we cover all sorts of things as it relates to the internet, the online world. For instance, you may have had an idea, you may have had a business idea that you wanted to bring to fruition, but the steps that were necessary to take could be potentially in areas that you don't have the skill set for. For instance, how to build your own website. It's a big thing. It can be very expensive if you hire the wrong people for it. And worse yet, it could be giving the entirely wrong message if you try doing it yourself and you didn't know the right steps to take. So we guide people through those steps. We guide people on how to actually build their own website effectively and efficiently. And other workshops could be how to do your own advertising. It could be things like how to make your own content for social media. We break down the different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. These are all different workshop topics that we cover. It'd be perfect for people who are trying to start a side hustle, or maybe you're in a professional environment where in that environment you're being asked to tackle things that bluntly you may not have the support by your employer to pay for the expensive programs to go get that yourself. And so one of the things that we take pride in is that right now our workshops have a very low barrier to entry of $20 a workshop. By the time you watch this, it may increase, but right now we're really focusing on trying to keep it as accessible as possible, so long as demand allows for it. So that's the Academy. Do you have any questions, Lisa, that maybe pop into your head as I was explaining all that?
Well, the cool thing about that, like what I've experienced so far, is you never know who's going to show up to these two. And so the connections that you may think you make, it could be in like a totally different direction. And then, you get open to all these different unique opportunities that you could never have fathomed. But then this just like you said, it's fruition. It's the serendipitous meeting point. So it's amazing. I highly recommend everyone to go and check it out and just come in for a coffee and for a meeting. It's a great interactive space. So,
well, what I'll add on top of that quickly is, the networking scene, if you come from that background, is completely covered traditionally by bankers, accountants, bookkeepers, all of that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're in the right place. But when you stop and ask yourself, if I'm interested in the digital world, like Lisa, I know that you have an e-commerce background and that you like doing things with Amazon and whatnot. And I believe for you, part of the reason why we even connected in the first place was your desire to find more people, to find like-minded people.
Exactly.
And it really seems like that's happening at these workshops, and that these people are coming out of the woodworks that normally wouldn't show up at all, but they finally have something that they can talk about that they care about.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. Cool. And then you were talking a bit before this video recording started about the sales process and how the working on the outbound and the inbound process. Can you take us through that, please?
Okay, so what I was referencing there was a workshop that I'll be hosting later in the month, which is how to sell. In particular, how to sell in an environment of one-on-one. When we're looking at trying to build an online business, if you're somebody who's in a service space or you're trying to do influencer marketing or however, you're continually selling. And it's unfortunately necessary. I know some people go to the online world to not have to sell, but somehow we keep getting pulled back into an environment much like you and I are in right now, which is we're over the Zoom call, we're seeing each other eyeball to eyeball and answering questions on the spot. When you're trying to take people through a journey on how to actually close them on, say, a service or a program or a course, there is a really effective method to take. And the method that I'm actually using is one that is taught by Dan Locke in the high ticket closer certification course. And for the record, I'm not taking his course and copying it. What I'm doing is I'm taking some of the fundamental psychological principles and applying them into this workshop. At the end of this workshop, we're actually going to be role-playing together and actually artificially creating these environments where, okay, you're selling a course, you're receiving this, now try selling to that person and figure out what's going on. Because that's something that a lot of people miss, is the role play itself. And if you don't have that actual taste of how awkward it can be, or surprisingly, how not awkward it is, how simple it is just to have a conversation with a common objective, is something that a lot of people need to feel at least once to have the confidence to go out and do it repeatedly.
Absolutely. Just having, yeah, like you said, that experience of doing it over and over, and sales experience that I had in the past, that's what we did all the time. They're like, sell this product to me, sell that one, sell that one. Yeah. So I'm so excited for that. That'll be so much fun.
Absolutely.
Cool. And then is there anything else that you want to add on top of this?
Well, the workshops, of course, are something that you just have to check out. Our organization website, if you want to check it out, is www.elaunch.academy. So not .com, not .ca, but we actually got the .academy domain, which we're very happy about. It's very simple and easy to remember. So it's www.elaunch.academy. Now, the one thing that I think you're trying to maybe give me a segue into was the consulting area. So there's actually two companies. The first company that we started back in January of 2019 is called Morpheus Interactive. And Morpheus Interactive started out as any other marketing company would, trying to build funnels, trying to do social media marketing, ad marketing, all that good stuff. But what we discovered along the way is that when we're trying to talk with people, people have really, really big questions, and they don't necessarily trust the answers that's being given to them, because the answers that are being given to them in a sales environment is actually one where the ultimate objective is to try and sell them the service, as opposed to giving an unbiased, objective opinion and a strategy that could work for them. And the other thing I discovered is that as we're helping the clients that we took on, I found myself taking on a consultative role. A lot of people, when they hire a marketer, when they hire somebody to do social media marketing or have some crazy marketing strategy or idea, they hire them for the wrong reasons. They hire them as a Band-Aid. They hire them as somebody like, oh, if I pour enough money into this, this person's going to take care of my business and my problems are going to be solved. But here's the reality. You as the business owner suck. And you need somebody to tell you. and that's the harsh way of saying it, but there's usually something that you're missing. There's something that you've overlooked. There's something that you haven't considered. And those are the things that a consultant can help you try and identify. And that's where you bring in a consultant, and you hope that by working together, talking together, reviewing things objectively and unbiasedly, you'll be able to identify what that piece is, so that you as the owner or the manager can create that skill set, create that understanding, so that when the time comes that you go to find somebody to do that work for you or do the work yourself, you'll know exactly what you're looking for. So that's the consulting area that we're working on. We're working with quite a few companies right now, and our time's becoming more and more precious, but this is something that we're really passionate about. It is our skill set. And in my opinion, the marketing itself should actually be an afterthought. It should be the secondary thought, not the first thought. What is it that your business does? How does it help the people? After you have those questions figured out, then you can figure out how to put it out in front of them. But people worry more about getting it out in front of people, only to get egg on their face before they actually realize that the things that matter need to be done before they start marketing.
Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head there with that. And there's so many times where a client wants something, but you need to educate them first and backtrack a bit more and being like, okay, actually, this isn't the end goal here. This is just one piece of it. So that's really, really good. I'm so appreciative that you're here today on this webinar, and I'm so excited to do more workshops with you. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to your next workshop, Lisa. I know you're going to crush it. And thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thank you. All right, that is the end of this webinar. Thank you so much again for joining us, and all my great speakers for being a part of this. And I look forward to doing more webinars and interviewing with more people. I love the connection point that you can make, and there's so many good points that I learned from this and great takeaways as well. So if this is something you're interested in doing as well, always feel free to reach out to me or any of the guest speakers on this webinar too. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.